You know those people who are just, incredibly generous with their time, their connections?
Oh, yeah. The ones who are always buying coffee.
Exactly. The people who are always sharing the perfect article, building relationships,
Mm.
just constantly, planting seeds.
That's professional sower.
Right. The networker, the really nice guy. And, usually we look at that person and think, wow, they are just crushing it.
Mm-hmm.
But the stack of research and articles we're diving into today suggests there's actually a dark side to all that niceness.
It sounds totally counterintuitive, right? I mean, we celebrate generosity,
Of course.
but the source material points to this very specific trap. These leaders are excellent sowers. They can scatter seed all day long, but they have this widespread inability to see when it's time to stop
To stop sowing.
and start harvesting.
Which, I don't know, that sounds a bit harsh. If I'm buying coffee and listening to people, I feel like I'm doing my job. Are you telling me my patience is a problem?
I'm saying, and the texts are definitely saying,
Okay.
that you are doing part of the job.
Okay.
And that's the core tension we need to get into today. It's about discernment in the harvest. The uncomfortable truth buried in these pages is that a lot of us confuse faithfulness with hesitation.
Hesitation.
Yes. We think we're being patient. We tell ourselves, oh, I'm just cultivating the relationship. But so often, we're actually just scared.
Scared to close the deal.
We're scared to close the deal. We assume that asking for clarity is like too much pressure, or that offering an invitation is some kind of intrusion.
So we just stay in the safe zone.
Exactly.
Because nobody ever rejects a free coffee.
Precisely. You stay in that safe zone of just being nice, and you assume that if a moment is really decisive, it'll, announce itself with fireworks or something.
Which it never does.
It never does. So our mission for this deep dive is to solve what the text calls the wisdom gap.
The wisdom gap. I feel like that's a canyon I've definitely fallen into a few times.
It's that tricky space between just being busy and being discerning, between activity and wisdom.
Right. It's easy to be busy. It's much harder to know why you're busy. So the core question we're trying to answer for you, the listener, is this. How do you know when to stop scattering all those seeds and actually start gathering fruit?
And how do you tell the difference between a moment that needs more patience and one that needs courage?
Because if you get that timing wrong, things get messy.
Very messy. And to get there, we have to look at how modern leadership, and these texts point a lot to ministry leadership, often just swings between two dysfunctional extremes.
Okay, let's unpack this. What are the extremes? I have a feeling I'm going to recognize myself here.
Well, on one side of the ditch, you have what the source calls relentless urgency.
I call this the used car salesman approach.
Yes. It's high pressure. It's the leader who is demanding a decision way before the trust has been built.
It's trying to pick an apple in June.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
You act, you pull, but you just end up damaging the fruit because you didn't respect the timeline at all.
And we've all felt that. It feels gross. It's transactional. They don't care about you. They care about their quota.
Exactly. And because most of us hate that feeling so much, we swing way over to the other extreme.
Which is...
endless cultivation.
That sounds really pleasant, honestly. Cultivation is a good word.
It is a good word until it becomes a hiding place. This is just perpetual preparation. You sow and you water and you fertilize, and then you just keep watering.
And you never ask.
You never ask for a commitment. The text uses this really haunting phrase for this, sleeping during the harvest.
Oof, okay, that hits different. Sleeping during the harvest implies the crop is ready. It's sitting right there, ripe, and you're just napping.
Or you're busy doing more gardening. You're out there hoeing the same row again, totally oblivious to the fact that the fruit is literally rotting on the vine because you're too afraid to pick it.
See, that changes the whole picture for me, because I usually think of waiting as a virtue.
It can be.
But the source is saying that waiting when action is needed isn't patience at all. It's negligence.
Spot on. And this is where we really have to define discernment. It's not, spiritual guesswork. It's not just a gut feeling.
Right.
The material calls it disciplined awareness and formed sight. It's learning to see reality as it is, not as you fear it might be.
There's a fantastic case study in the source material on this. It's from the story of the woman in John chapter 4. And even if you've heard the story 1,000 times, the analysis here really flips the perspective.
It does. It just highlights this massive gap between human logic and spiritual sight.
Yeah.
You have the disciples, And they are obsessed with logistics.
They're focused on lunch.
They're focused on lunch.
Which, to be fair, is pretty relatable. They've been walking, they're hungry, they're in admin mode.
True, but Jesus just stops them. He commands them, lift up your eyes. He says, you say there are 4 months more, but I tell you, look at the fields. They are ripe for harvest.
And here's where it gets so interesting. The text points out that the disciples missed the harvest. Not because it wasn't there,
Right.
but because they were just looking at a human timeline. They were thinking, well, agriculture takes time. Crops need 4 months. It's not possible for this to be ready yet.
Exactly. They were projecting their own expectation of delay onto the whole situation. They looked at a Samaritan village and thought, this is going to be a long, hard slog.
But Jesus was looking at something totally different.
He was looking at spiritual readiness. While his disciples were off buying sandwiches, Jesus had just had a conversation that was about to flip an entire city.
So the takeaway is, readiness is often present, but it's just unseen.
Unseen by those who are only trained to sow.
Yeah.
We get so used to the grind that we don't even recognize the breakthrough when it's staring us in the face.
So if we want to close this wisdom gap, we have to get that sowing and harvesting they're distinct rhythms.
They're not the same activity at all.
Yeah.
And they require different tools.
Okay, let's break down the toolkit, because I feel like I'm pretty good at the sowing part.
Most of us are. Sowing is about generosity. It's broad. It's indiscriminate. Think about the parable of the sower.
He's just throwing seed everywhere.
Everywhere. On the path, in the rocks, in the thorns. He's not out there pre-screening the soil.
Right. You don't do a background check before you buy someone a coffee or share your story.
Exactly. The text lists some specific tools for this sowing phase. Presence, service, storytelling, hospitality, integrity. These are things you give freely without expecting an immediate return.
And the source brings up some heavy hitters here as examples. Hudson Taylor in China, George Muller.
Yeah, these are like the archetypes of faithful sowing. We remember them as heroes now, but we forget. Hudson Taylor labored for years with almost zero visible fruit.
That's a really good point. If he'd been working on a quarterly sales quota, he would have been fired.
Instantly. But he understood what the text calls strategic patience. This isn't laziness. It's waiting for the seed to actually do its work. You can't just scream at a seed to make it grow faster.
And here's the big pivot. Harvesting needs a totally different mindset. So if sowing is broad and generous, what's harvesting?
Harvesting must be precise. The source brings up Proverbs 10.5 again here. He who sleeps in harvest is a son who brings shame.
So it's serious.
It is. The shift here is from answering why to answering how. Sowing answers, why should I care? But harvesting is about answering, how do I commit?
I love this analogy in the notes about ripe grain. It says that ripe grain separates easily. You don't have to rip it out of the ground.
That is such a crucial visual.
Yeah.
If you have to force it, if you have to argue someone into submission, it's not harvest time.
It's still sowing time.
It's still sowing time.
Yeah.
But if it is harvest time, the grain is just waiting. The hesitation is almost always on the part of the laborer, not the crop.
Okay, so this is the million-dollar question, right? If we're trying to move from being endless sowers to discerning harvesters, how do we detect readiness?
Yeah.
What am I looking for? It's not a neon sign, I'm guessing.
Rarely neon, no.
Yeah.
The authors say we need to treat observation like an art form. We have to listen for readiness. And they give us 4 very specific signals to watch for.
Let's run through these, because I think I might be missing them in my own life. First one is curiosity.
Right, but specifically a shift in the type of curiosity. It's moving from these abstract, theoretical questions to practical, personal ones.
So it's not, why do bad things happen to good people?
No, that's a sowing question. It's philosophical. Harvest curiosity sounds more like, how did you get through that crisis? Or what would it look like for me to change?
I see. The pronoun changes to I. It gets personal.
It becomes applicable, yes.
Yeah.
The second signal is moral tension or urgency. This is when you sense a person is feeling some kind of internal pressure.
Like their conscience is bothering them.
Exactly. They might say they're dissatisfied with their current life, or that they feel like something has to change.
And that internal conflict, that's a good sign.
It's a great sign. It's the spirit churning the soil. If they're uncomfortable with the status quo, they're getting ready to move. The third signal is vulnerability.
When the armor comes off.
Yes. When someone stops debating you and starts sharing their pain or their struggle or their fear, that lowering of the shield is a massive invitation. They are letting you in.
Okay, the fourth one surprised me because I think I misinterpret it all the time. Silence.
Oh, yeah. We almost always read silence as rejection. Oh, no, I bored them.
Or they disagree with me, or just awkwardness. I hate awkward silences. I will fill that space with chatter so fast.
And that's where we mess it all up.
Hmm.
Because in a harvest context, silence often means contemplation. It means the seed has landed and is sinking in. They're processing.
So if I rush in to fill that silence...
You interrupt the harvest. You completely distract them from the internal work that's happening right in that moment.
Which leads to this major warning in the text, the danger of information dumping.
Oh, I am so guilty of this.
Me too. It's the trap of the expert. When we see someone is interested, our instinct is to back up the dump truck and unload everything we know.
Oh, you're interested here. 12 books, a podcast playlist, and a 3-hour lecture on the deep history of this topic.
Yes. And the source warns that when a field is ripe, more information can actually be a barrier. It just becomes noise.
At that point, they don't need a lecture. They need a guide. The text puts it so well. Be careful not to use truth as a weapon. We want connection, not just correction.
Okay, so we know the signals. We know not to talk them to death. Now I want to get into what the text calls the master class in discernment.
Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch, Acts chapter 8.
Yes, it really is the perfect case study for one of these decision conversations. It breaks down into 4 clear steps.
It does. And step 1 is divine orchestration. The context is wild. Philip is in the middle of this huge revival. Things are going great. And then an angel tells him to go stand on a desert road.
That's a weird career move. Leave all the success and go stand in the middle of nowhere.
But it's so important because it reminds us that we don't manufacture the harvest. God arranges the meeting. That field was prepared before Philip even showed up.
So Philip obeys. He goes. He sees a chariot. Step 2, observation and listening.
I love this part.
He doesn't just jump in front of the horses and start preaching.
No, he runs alongside it and he listens. He hears the man reading from Isaiah, and only then does he ask a question.
Do you understand what you were reading?
Such a cue move. He met the eunuch exactly where he was. He didn't force a new topic. He entered the man's existing world.
He answered the question the man was actually asking, not the one Philip wanted to answer.
Yes. Then we hit step 3, the pivot. And what's fascinating here is that the eunuch is the one who brings it up.
He initiates the decision.
Look, here is water. What prevents me from being baptized? I mean, this just validates what we said earlier about ripe grain separating easily. Because Philip created the space and explained things clearly, the invitation just bubbled up from the seeker himself.
But then step 4 is decisive action. Philip didn't say, whoa, hold on, that's a big decision. Why don't you join a small group for 6 weeks and we'll see how you feel?
Right. No hesitation. He stopped the chariot. He saw the harvest moment and he acted on it immediately. That's the courage part.
So let's bring this down to our reality. We aren't all chasing chariots on desert roads.
Most of us know.
The source gives a decision conversation framework. It's basically a roadmap for how to handle these moments.
It is. It has 4 stages. The first is discernment. This goes back to listening beyond the words. You're watching their posture, hearing their tone. You're asking, is the spirit moving here? Is there that harvest curiosity?
Then stage 2 is clarification.
This means speaking the truth, but
Yeah.
simply, drop the jargon. You know, if you're in ministry, don't use Christianese. If you're in business, cut the buzzwords. Just name the reality and the required response.
Stage 3 is invitation. And this is the tricky one for people who hate being salesy. I think a lot of people freeze up right here because they don't want to use what the text calls ultimatum language.
And they shouldn't. The text is very clear that ultimatum language just kills the fruit.
Give us an example. What does that sound like?
It sounds like coercion. You must decide right now or you're going to miss out. Or if you don't sign this today, the deal's off the table.
It just triggers defensiveness.
Completely. So the alternative is what the text calls invitational language. It honors their freedom.
Give me a script.
Instead of you need to do this, you could try something like, I sense you're really wrestling with this. Would you like to explore what taking a step might look like?
Oh, that's it.
Or even, I see God working in you. Is it time to move on this?
That feels so much lighter. It's like you're opening a door, not shoving them through it.
Exactly. And that leads right into the final stage, freedom. You have to trust the Spirit with the outcome. If they say no or not yet, you don't crush them. You just leave the door open.
There's a concept here I really love called next steps. Because sometimes we think the harvest has to be the whole thing.
A full conversion, the signed contract.
The marriage proposal, right. And that pressure paralyzes us.
But sometimes the harvest of that specific conversation is just the next logical step. Maybe it's just reading a book together, or joining a prayer time, or just agreeing to meet for coffee again to talk about one specific question.
It's just about moving the ball forward.
That's it.
But, and I want to make sure we land this plane carefully, the text also warns against the trap of perpetual openness.
This brings us right back to where we started. Avoiding clarity is not kindness.
Say that again?
Avoiding clarity is not kindness. We think we're being nice by not asking for a decision, by leaving everything ambiguous. But the source argues that leaving someone in limbo when they're ready for truth is actually a failure of love.
That hits home. It's like leaving someone stranded at a crossroads because you don't want to be bossy and tell them which way to go.
Exactly. If you can see the map and they're asking for directions, give them the directions. To withhold the invitation is to deny them the breakthrough they are looking for.
So what does this all mean for us then?
Well, if we zoom out, discernment is the bridge. It connects patience, that willingness to sow and wait, with courage, the ability to ask and invite. It's knowing when to wait and when to speak.
And the ultimate reassurance in all this material is that the pressure isn't really on us.
Not at all. The harvest belongs to God. Humans participate. We get the joy of being in the field, but God is the one who gives the growth. That should take all the anxiety out of it. You're not the manufacturer. You're just the farmhand.
So here's the challenge for everyone listening. I want you to look at your fields this week. Your team, your family, your neighbors.
Where are you sleeping?
Exactly. Where are you still just buying coffee and being nice? When the situation is actually screaming for a question, where are you hiding in the safety of sowing because you're afraid of the harvest?
Lift up your eyes. The fields might be a lot wider than you think.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you in the next one.